Liverpool versus Manchester United, such an iconic rivalry when it only comes to the pinnacle of Premier League football. Liverpool versus Manchester United is one of the top games that everyone wants to watch every single season. The Northwest Derby, one of the biggest games in world football as well, up there with the likes of the Old Firm Derby in Scotland, as well as the El Clasico in Spain. And over the years, it's kind of developed from a title competing rivalry to one that has seen it fall a little bit further down in the table, but still, nevertheless, when it comes to the fans themselves, it stays very much in high regard every single season. It's the one game that a lot of Liverpool and Manchester United fans love to win because it goes straight into the heart of not only the title wins, but also bragging rights as well. Of course, Manchester United and Liverpool, when it comes to title wins, Liverpool recently just got one back now after winning the 2019-2020 Premier League season, but United still have that hand over them by 20 league titles to 19. And over that time period, they've managed to create so many iconic memories for fans to enjoy on both sides of the rivalry. And today here on Let's Talk Sport, talking to, of course, Jamie Davies, Manchester United fan, and Joe Stanley, a Liverpool fan, looking back at some of the iconic moments from the rivalry during their lifetimes. And both of our fans here have picked out three images, each from their respective team. And they're going to give their thoughts onto those images as well and explain why it's such an iconic image for them in the rivalry. Starting off with Joe. And Joe, first image that I want to talk about is this great image of Steven Gerrard kissing the camera at Old Trafford with Fernando Torres running behind him as well. Talk us through this image and why it's so iconic to you.
Well, those are the days, isn't it? Back in the day, it was the season where Liverpool and Manchester United were neck and neck for the title. And sadly, from my perspective, Manchester United sadly coming out on top. There's the chuckle from Mr. Davies down the other end of the line. It was an amazing result for Liverpool that season. There was a lot going on. It was Rafa with his rant a couple of months earlier, where he was going about the fact that Mr. Ferguson manipulates the referees, etc. And then it all boiled down. It was all the mind games between the two managers. Obviously, Fergie came out on top that season, and then we had to go to Old Trafford and get a result to try and stretch the title race on and prove a point. And obviously, we ended up winning 4-1 that day. It was an unbelievable performance from Liverpool. United took the lead early on with Ronaldo's penalty. Torres making Vidic look like a fool again, like he did so many times with the equaliser.
Never liked Torres.
Little kiss for the badge, little kiss for the camera. And it's a celebration he repeated so many times down the years at Old Trafford because he loved a goal at Old Trafford, did Gerrard. And it's one of the memories that stuck in my mind from that season. Such a big result and sent a big message to Manchester United.
I actually remember that game really well because, when you mentioned Ronaldo, we were 1-0 up and I thought we should get this right. And then, that first half was horrible. You turned it round just before half time. And I actually remember being really ill after that game. I actually missed school on the Monday. And I remember friends came up to me like when I got back to school and they thought, of course you were ill on Monday because you got battered by Liverpool. And I honestly thought that was the worst thing because when I was growing up, I don't know if you remember, Joe, but Liverpool kept losing to United at one point, didn't they? It was, in the Premier League at least, it was always United getting the titles and Liverpool were a bit behind. And I think that was the first time you did the double on us for a very long time in the same Premier League season. So it was quite a weird one. Do you remember the end? Was it Ngog who scored at the end? I can't remember who scored that lob. Was it to make it 4-1?
Oh, the Stenner.
That was it. Where's he gone? It was a good goal as well.
Scored, didn't he? Aurelio scored that stunning free kick and then Stenner with the lob. Two goals in a week.
Yeah, I liked Aurelio. He was a good free kick taker. But that was a horrible day.
Steven Gerrard as well in that picture kissing the camera. 9 goals in Liverpool and Manchester United games over the years. Jamie, just how difficult of a player was it as a Manchester United fan watching Steven Gerrard just be so prolific in these types of games?
Well, as much as I'd say, it is a most memorable moment because he started that trend and he did it a lot each time at Old Trafford. He followed that on, didn't he? He kept kissing the camera. I remember when Liverpool beat us 3-0 in the 2014 season. I think Gerrard, he scored like 2 penalties. He actually had a hat-trick of penalties, but he missed one. and that was really weird. I never saw a game like that before, and Gerrard did the same there. And it definitely annoyed United fans. It annoyed me because it's just, it's a Scouser scoring at Man United. No one likes that unless it's Wayne Rooney. That's acceptable. But yeah, Gerrard he always performed for Liverpool. Gerrard, great player. He was the leader of Liverpool, and I always say this about Paul Scholes. I always like seeing Scholes and Gerrard because they came from where they actually came from the area, and they performed for their biggest club.
Now, you mentioned briefly about leaders there. In your first image, your iconic image that I want to talk about, we've got Gary Neville here wearing the captain's armband for Manchester United and lifting the badge on his shirt aloft into the air as he screams. Looks as though potentially just after a hard-fought victory. Talk us through this image.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was just a stalemate of what Gary Neville is. It's just everything that he is. He's a pure Manchester United player. He said during lockdown on Sky that he would never have joined Liverpool or Leeds. The two clubs he's just so bitter about. But that's the Man United DNA. I mean, this season right now is just horrible. Liverpool winning the league, Leeds winning the championship. It's horrible. But that's just the way it is. But that summed up Gary Neville as a Man United player. He was there from when he started and he retired at Man United. It's spot on. And it was just how he was a psychopath when that went in. It was a Rio Ferdinand goal, and Rio Ferdinand never scored for United. But then, I don't know if Joe remembers, but in the following Man United-Liverpool game at Old Trafford the season after, Ferdinand scored again. So Ferdinand just loved Liverpool for some reason. And actually, Ferdinand scored in Fergie's last Old Trafford game as well. So Ferdinand loved the big occasions as a goal scorer, which was rare. But Gary Neville, absolute legend. He's a great pundit as well. And I think this is why Carragher and Neville being pundits together has been brilliant. The banter between them, the rivalry is still there, isn't it, really, despite them not being players anymore. And that video recently of Carragher trying to find Gary Neville because he's gone to Papua New Guinea was just absolutely fantastic. As annoying it is to see Liverpool finally win the title, that video was brilliant.
Yeah, Jamie just mentioned there about Gary Neville and Rio Ferdinand, basically a rock-solid part of United's defence during the 2000s. How difficult was it for a Liverpool fan to see such a solid defence at Manchester United?
It was kind of difficult, especially seeing as the fact that they were winning trophies at the time and title after title. Rio Ferdinand was actually a boyhood Liverpool fan, apparently, so that was
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere that he actually supported Liverpool as a kid or something. And
he played for Leeds as well.
Played for Leeds and played for Manchester United. So there's two rivals that he could play for. It's interesting. And he had the knack of scoring against Liverpool at Old Trafford in those fixtures. I remember the fixture was 2006 when he scored a last-minute header. I remember watching it on the TV, absolutely deflated. And then all I can see is Gary Neville running the length of the pitch to the Liverpool fans, kissing the United badge and giving it what for. And I think, why is he doing that? Where's the need? But then it's a moment. In the moment, you do crazy things. Like you said, he's a diehard United fan. It's just like, I suppose it's just like seeing Gerrard a couple of years later with the previous image when he kissed the badge and kissed the camera. You do these things in the heat of the moment, and he's a passionate guy. I've met Gary Neville myself, and I've had a bit of a laugh with him about the rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester United when I've come across him at Anfield. And if you take that out of the character, you haven't got the player. Let's be honest. So you take that away from Gary, and he's not the same player. He's not the leader that Manchester United had for all those years. And I think that was his first season as captain, if I remember rightly, as well, because it's the first season after Roy Keane left, or during Roy Keane leaving, and he took on the armband, which was a big thing for Manchester United. And I think Gary Neville and Rio Ferdinand were the key to their defence. You could partner anyone with Ferdinand, and Vidic hadn't quite signed yet for United, I don't think. I think he signed a couple of months later. So it was a big thing for Manchester United having those two in the sides at the time. One of them was missing. You were considerably weaker, it's fair to say. And I think, although that moment angered me at the time, and I look back now and I think, probably shouldn't have happened. It is a key moment in the picture. And the funny thing was, I remember watching his Soccer Box a couple of months ago with Steven Gerrard, and he was talking about that moment. They were having a bit of banter about that moment when he ran to Liverpool fans, and he said that in his case where the FA brought him in to fine him and punish him, he used an example of Steven Gerrard kissing the badge in front of the Everton fans in a Merseyside derby as a way of trying to get away with it. It didn't work, but just one of those things.
It certainly is. And you mentioned about the iconic defence of Manchester United during that time period. Liverpool's got pretty much their own iconic defence now these days, and it's shown in their Premier League title-winning campaign. One of the key players in that is Alisson. And in your next image here, we've got Alisson. It seems as though he's ran across the entirety of the pitch to come and celebrate a Mo Salah goal, who's got his shirt off and his back turned away from the camera. From this season, it looks like as well. So just talk us through this image here of Mo Salah and Alisson celebrating what seems to be just after a goal.
Yeah, it was back in January. I think it was 19th of January, if I remember rightly. We played Manchester United and we were still unbeaten at the time. And there was all this talk about Manchester United coming to Anfield and taking Liverpool's unbeaten run from them. Obviously, that also it didn't happen. We took the lead early on through a Van Dijk header from a corner. I was at this game myself as well, and the atmosphere was electric from start to finish. The United fans were loud as well, but the Liverpool fans managed to drown them out for the most part. And it was quite a tight game, actually. United were quite solid defensively for the most part. Liverpool did have a goal from Firmino disallowed as well in the first half through the old VAR thing. And it was a tight game. United did have a game plan. It worked mostly. And then in the last minute, when it looked like it should be 1-0, United had a corner, the ball goes to Alisson, long ball down, and it was Salah against James. Does him for pace, ball under the hair, 2-0. Next minute, all we know is Salah's got his top off, and Alisson's done the length of the pitch, knee slide, Pepe Reina style, because Reina did it when Ngog scored the second in a 2-0 win in 2010. And it's one of the most iconic pictures of the season. When you think of Liverpool winning the title this season, you think of that game, and that picture comes up most of the time when you ask fans. I can see Jamie's face. Jamie's not impressed thinking about it. But it's just unreal. And Jamie said before we started this video, he didn't know Mo Salah was that ripped. Funny story was that when this goal went in, Jamie Carragher was doing the punditry for Sky Sports. And his bodyguard had come to collect the game, because obviously it was coming into stoppage time. We were in about 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes stoppage time to come to collect him for when he had to get down to do the post-match interviews. And when Salah scores, it turns out Carragher's bodyguard must have been a Liverpool fan, because he ran and grabbed me, who was the nearest person to him. And I was like, what do I do? Big bloke just grabs me, lifts me up in the air. It was funny.
Yes, Alisson and the whole Liverpool defence has been so strong this season, Jamie. And we talked about, the United defence from the Gary Neville and the Rio Ferdinand years. And now flash forward and Liverpool's got their own strong, solid defence. It must have been so disheartening that the likes of Martial and Greenwood and Rashford weren't firing on this day. And, if they just started firing a little bit sooner, then maybe this would have been a closer contest than what it was.
Well, in all fairness, Greenwood probably wasn't playing in this game because he hadn't really been getting minutes yet. But Martial that day missed a sitter. I think Joe might remember. He got through into the box and he just booted it wide over the bar, which... You know what I think about Martial. I still have doubts about him. He's a great player, but he misses sitters as well. So, yeah, I remember that game. It was a bit frustrating because we had possession a lot in that game, but then Liverpool it was a tight game. It was. I mean, that goal came in the last minute because United pretty much went all out and wanted to get a draw out of it, and sadly we couldn't. But yeah, that was. I think for Liverpool fans, they'd probably agree with me. That's probably one of the most iconic moments of the season because. I think when they won that game, I think it was pretty much sealed, the Premier League title. A lot of people can say it was done by Christmas, but I think that's just made sure of it, really. I think no one was really going to catch up with Liverpool by then. And that home record is still there in there, Anfield. It's crazy how well they've done. In the Premier League, of course, it's a fortress. And, while we speak, there's this top four race at the moment, and I really hope they beat Chelsea tonight. So but we'll leave that for another day. But overall, yeah, it's no doubt an iconic moment.
Can I just jump in and stuff?
Yeah,
when you said about that was the game that you think sealed the title for Liverpool, it was the day where I actually, for the first time, heard fans in the stadium singing, "We're going to win the league."
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was just mainly just to try and wind up the United fans, or whether it was the moment where everyone went, right, we can actually start to believe properly now. Jurgen Klopp said it's time for the fans to sing it, but he said the players weren't getting carried away because it was January. But
I think it was. Yeah, the way even just watching it, it just made me. You could feel it just watching it on the TV, and you felt like it. whether you liked it or not, it was just, you could feel it. It was coming.
And the red sky over Anfield as well, because it was an evening kickoff. There was a red sky over the ground. It was just unreal.
Yeah.
You were there to see it, and I think you could see it in the background when Van Dijk celebrates in the Sky footage. Sky footage, you can see the red sky in the background, and that's another iconic image from the same game.
Horrible day.
Well, a better day for Manchester United at Anfield is your next image here, Jamie, of John O'Shea seemingly slotting home an absolute corker of a goal.
What a hero.
In front of Steven Gerrard and Jamie Carragher, and I think that's Pepe Reina in goal on the day in that orange kit on the floor with I think that's Vidic in the air and Luis Saha on the ground there. Just talk us through this image of what seems to be a John O'Shea corker.
This was a really funny day because this was when we were we had a bit of a gap on Chelsea towards winning our first Premier League in 4 years. And obviously Mourinho was controlling the league the last 2 seasons as Chelsea manager. So this was a big game, and literally it was 0 each, literally about, it was 90th minute. It was a last minute goal, and everyone thought we might have slipped up here, and Liverpool gave us a really good game. A draw was probably a fair result because Liverpool had some cracking chances, especially Dirk Kuyt. But I just remember it just out of nowhere. I think it was a free kick from Giggs or Ronaldo. I can't remember it that well, but it just goes all over the place. And then John O'Shea's just there at the right place at the right time, taps it in. It's like, out of all the players, John O'Shea has just scored. And it was absolutely incredible. And there's Van der Sar and Gary Neville on the other side, where Van der Sar lifts Gary Neville to his side and makes him same height as him while they're celebrating with the away fans. So it was incredible. I actually remember not watching the game though, because my family for some reason thought it was okay to go out and see friends. So I had to go. I was very young at the time, so I had no say in anything. But I checked the score on my dad's phone or my brother's phone or whatever about 10 minutes after the game, and I was like, yes, we're going to win the league. So yeah, that was a great moment. But that was, especially when you do it at Anfield as well, it was fantastic. Another season where we did the double over Liverpool.
I'm sure, Joe, on the contrast here, just watching someone like John O'Shea just come forward and score a goal like that, really put a damper on Liverpool's hopes of winning the Premier League title that season as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I didn't actually have Sky Sports at the time on that season. I didn't actually have it. I can't remember why. I just didn't have it for some reason, I think. And I remember the day, my cousin, where I lived at the time, lived down the road, and he was a massive Man United fan. So I was hanging out with him that day, played a bit of footy in the street and all that, whilst the game was going on. And then the score come through, and I found out it was 1-0 United, John O'Shea in the last minute. And I remember watching Match of the Day later on that day and seeing the goal. So it was a scrappy finish, you remember, right? The ball in the box and then a couple of ricochets in it being put in the back of the net by John O'Shea, and it was just deflation watching it. I don't know, still things feel strange now hearing John O'Shea goal scorer in front of the Cop Manchester United. You had previous years, you had like Rooney scoring the winner, and you had Forlan with a double. And there's normally the forward that were the headline makers for Manchester United in those games at Anfield, and then John O'Shea in front of the car. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound right from a Liverpool fan point of view. It was, like you said, Liverpool played well in that game. They had some great chances. Dirk Kuyt with a couple of opportunities that he probably should have scored. And then I think it's always deflating when you concede the last minute winner to the opposition, especially the bitterest rivals. And my memory of that was my cousin terrorising me about it for ages, until obviously the 4-1 a couple of years later.
Speaking of deflating last-minute goals from unlikely players, your final image, Joe, sees Wijnaldum and Roberto Firmino chasing after Xherdan Shaqiri after he's scored a brilliant goal here against Manchester United at Anfield itself. Talk us through this image.
Yeah, Big Shaq, the power cube last season. I picked this image. I think Jamie will agree. It was an iconic one for last season for both clubs as well. Liverpool battling for the title. They were top at Christmas, remember, and I think this is the last game before Christmas as well. And
yeah,
it was how do I put it? 18th of December, I think, was the fixture as well, off the top of my head. It was one of those games where Liverpool needed to win to get, stay top at Christmas, keep the momentum up. Manchester United really needed the result because they were struggling under Jose Mourinho. There was talk, would he be staying in charge or not? And I remember this game, the atmosphere was rocking again at Anfield. And before the game, someone called, like another fan, I was talking to another fan on the concourse, and they said to me, "Have you got a prediction for today?" And for some reason, I had a gut instinct 3-1, and I said, "Shaqiri will score at any time. He's got a record of scoring against Manchester United." Funny enough, it happened. He came to me at full time and said to the same fan said to me, "You should have put bet on." I said, "I'm not a gambling man myself,"
Yeah.
but the thought did go across my mind. What would I have won? But yeah, it's a strange one. We took the lead through Sadio Mane. Jesse Lingard scored in front of the Kop after an uncharacteristic error from Alisson. It's one of his first errors he made. He seemed to spill a ball that was fizzed in, and Lingard just mopped up and equalised in front of the Kop. Half time, 1-1. Shaqiri comes on as a substitute and does the business. He scores 2 goals and ultimately seals Mourinho's fate as manager. Liverpool fans were singing "Don't sack Mourinho." United fans were singing "Sack Mourinho. We want Mourinho out." I thought it was a bit of a strange one at the time because Mourinho was a world-class manager. The problem was he lost some of the players in the dressing room, like Paul Pogba, who he appointed as captain early on in the season, then stripped the captaincy from because he just didn't want to follow Mourinho's plan, Mourinho's philosophy, Mourinho's methods. He didn't like being told what to do. He didn't seem to be causing any trouble under Solskjaer at the moment, but we'll see what happens there. But it's a strange one because I remember Pogba being on the bench and everyone thinking he would be brought on when United were struggling and went 2-1 down, but he didn't bring him on. I remember Fellaini playing and hitting I think it was a paramedic or something in the corner when he hit a shot and it hit the corner, hit the paramedic on the head in the corner. It just sums up Manchester United's season at that point with that Fellaini shot. And I think it's an iconic image because it's Shaqiri's celebration. You see the joy in his face. He was joined Liverpool in the summer and he'd only scored, I think, once or twice previously. So to get that double in that game and the fact that there was talk about him having that record against Manchester United in the week, and you look at it now, you see the joy in his face. I think it's a shame that he hasn't played much this season, but it's been mainly down to injuries. And then when he has come back to fitness, the side's been that good that he couldn't break into the side. Whether he'll be at Liverpool next season, I don't know. But for me, it is an iconic moment from last season. Shaqiri, arms out, smiling in front of the Kop. And I can hear Peter Drury's commentary as well from the Premier League productions for the 2 goals. It's just, when I see that image, I hear Peter Drury's commentary in my mind, and it's unreal.
Yeah, Peter Drury's a fantastic commentator. Jamie, this image to you, was it a bit of a blessing in disguise, do you think? Because it took out Jose Mourinho, but it brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who you're playing great football underneath right now.
I think I was the only one who was defending Mourinho, but to be honest, this game was dreadful. We were shite. we only scored in that game because it came off Alisson or something, and Lingard was at the right place at the right time to just score a rebound. That was the only opportunity we had, and that's we didn't deserve to win at all. And that was the actual game where it felt hopeless. It just felt like we're not going in the right direction, and where we were in the table was just worrying. And it was funny. I remember watching the game with my dad, and obviously, my dad being a Stoke fan, he knew what Shaqiri was like for them, and he said this is a game for Shaqiri. This at half time, and it happened. He was a game changer. I don't know if Liverpool would have actually won the game without him. It was a weird game of football, but they were so much more dominant than us. We were just happy for it to be full time and not concede any more goals. But I just remember it with 3 words of Mourinho's last game.
And certainly United haven't looked back since because they're on fantastic form. And when we look to our final image here, Jamie, your final image here, we've got Juan Mata in absolutely fantastic form, doing a bicycle kick here. I think it's at Anfield as well. Talk us through this image, Jamie.
Now, this was his game. I mean, he scored the opening goal, but then he scored that. It was out of nowhere, and it was actually a Di Maria assist, which I think people forget, which certainly does take us a bit back now. That was 6 years ago, that game, and no, 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago. And it was just a bit out of nowhere, just that bicy. I didn't know Mata would have anything like that in him. He's so small. He's just, that guy's just a genius in midfield. And yeah, it was a great moment. And I remember the game as well, just because Steven Gerrard came on for a minute or two, and then he got sent off straight away for the foul on Herrera. So that was a great moment. I think that might have been the last time we've won it. Anfield. Or no, actually, I think it was the season after when Rooney scored a late winner. But that one is more memorable, and I think for what Mata did there was magical. And I think even Martin Tyler went crazy about that goal, and yeah, I think he loves United secretly. I don't know what some people think about Martin Tyler, but that was an amazing goal.
Closeted United fan.
He keeps saying he's a Woking fan, but it's easy for him to say that because he's a coach there.
and Joe, just by looking at the Liverpool kits here, I don't know if you'd probably be able to confirm this for me, but just by looking at the Liverpool kit here, it looks like this might be in the era where either Brendan Rodgers or Roy Hodgson was in charge of the football club, and the team was teeter-tottering in the mid-table. Just such a contrast in terms of form now these days in the Premier League to what it was back then. You know, what was going through your mind when, you know, United were pulling off results like this at Anfield?
Yeah, it was Brendan Rodgers was in charge in 2015. It was the season, Steven Gerrard's last season at Liverpool. He'd gone from competing for the title the season before to sixth place mediocrity. We sold Luis Suarez, didn't replace him properly. We bought Ricky Lambert, Balotelli.
So
Yeah.
bad.
That was our forward that season.
Barini as well.
Barini, Balotelli, Lambert. We've gone from BBL to SFM now. So
says no one ever.
But it's so strange. It was such a weird season. We've gone from so much joy and hope the season before to this season where we ultimately finished sixth. But to talk about this game, yeah, it was a strange game of football because you took the lead through Mata, didn't you? When he got played through and he started a right-footed shot under Mignolet. He didn't really cover himself in glory at his near post. Then nothing really else happened in the game until Steven Gerrard came at half time. But I thought it was a game he should have been starting. He's Liverpool's captain. He's a leader. He had experience in the fixture. He had a habit of scoring in the fixture, whether it was at Anfield or at Old Trafford. Yet Brendan Rodgers, for some reason, it seemed to be the season where he tried to force Steven Gerrard out, and that's a big problem I had with Steven Gerrard. Brendan Rodgers. Any player that was there before he took over, any player that was loved more than him or bigger than him, a bigger personality than him in the dressing room, he tried to push him out. Carragher retired at the end of his first season. But you look at the other players that he got rid of, the quality players, and then Steven Gerrard doesn't offer him a contract. He was still our best player at the club at the age of 34.
Yeah, I never understood that.
And didn't offer him a contract until he'd agreed to sign for Galaxy. And then he said to Gerrard, I'll offer you a contract, but you're going to spend most of the time in the stands. What's he going to do? Go to Galaxy where he's going to play every week and still play every week, or stay at Liverpool when he's already signed for another club anyway in the January and sit in the stands? It's not right. It's not fair. Steven Gerrard comes on, tries to make a point, tries to inject a bit of fire into Liverpool midfield. Tackle from Pereira, which was quite naughty himself. You know, Herrera's tackle was. But Steven Gerrard, moment of madness, stamped on his calf, sent off after 38 seconds. I was in shock. As soon as he got sent off, I was like, we've lost this game.
I've never seen anyone sent off that quick.
No one else was performing for Liverpool that game.
No.
Sturridge did get a late goal back, but Mattis overhead kick. I still don't know how he did it. Cause like you said, he's a tiny player.
No.
And Di Maria's ball was beautifully clipped in, and I can remember that goal. Just feeling, well, two things at once. What a goal. But also feeling deflated as heck because I knew that we'd lost the fixture and our chances of top four were pretty much gone with that because we're still in with an outside chance. Did I think we'd get it? No. But it performed awfully. Manchester United were just another level under Van Gaal that season. And Mata's second goal was, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how he's done it.
It's a classic improv goal. Only he knew that was going to happen. No one could have predicted that. Classic improv goal.
You've got Martin Skirtle and Mamadou Sakho just stood there, mouths agape. I don't know. I just don't know how he's done it. I don't know how he's done it. And it's one of the best goals. It pains me to say it because it was against Liverpool, but it's one of the best goals in the Premier League ever. Because just the moment of improvisation, he had a split second to think, what am I going to do here? And he's just come up with an acrobatic goal in front of the away fans at the Anfield Road. And past Mignolet, he was just stood there, couldn't even move. It's unreal. And then I remember 442's the YouTube channel doing a video the next day, and they called it Juan Field. And I was just like, no.
Love it.
But, yeah, unreal goal. Shame it was against us and not for us.
All right. Before we wrap things up, one final question for both of you. Joe, which one of Jamie's images hurts you the most still today? Which one of them hurts you the most still today?
Make it brief. We got 2 minutes left.
Probably Gary Neville.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Joe. For me, they all hurt. Probably the Gerrard kiss, easily.
Yeah. So those were Jamie's and Joe's most iconic images from the Liverpool and Manchester United rivalry from down the years. Let us know your own iconic moments from Liverpool-Manchester United rivalry in the comment section below this video.